Yeah.
Are we ready? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Everybody come. The signature photo. Basically, minutes and come over maintenance or timber tax. Yeah, basically timber tax maintenance stuff. That's all we had. It's pretty simple. Approval manifest dated August 1st, 2024, in the amount of $42,571.50.
Motion approved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Manifest dated August 8th, 2024, in the amount of $559,777.51. Part of that was 515 was the school.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board of Selectmen minutes dated July 23rd, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Review the mail, nothing. Board of Selectmen reports. Who wants to go first?
I'll do it. The three of us attended the Providence Lake annual meeting weekend before last. And as a result of that, with a discussion with the gentleman from the Acton Wakefield Watershed Alliance, I sent the copy of the Bailey Road engineering report, color report that I had over to the Alliance. Because it had some recommendations in there about mitigation steps for the wave erosion on Bailey Road and what could be done with that. And he was suggesting there may be some grant money down the road that may be available for that. They would need a report. He now has a report. I assisted the fire chief with my consolidated communications contact to get the downed wire on Snow Road back up and running. So we had phone at the Snow Road transfer station. Spent about a day and a half working on the detailed description work for the 2025 RFP for the historic town hall project. A lot more work to go with that, and I want to have that out by the middle of October. Dave Strauss and Carol Pfister helped me finish off the 2020 LTIP grant reconciliation. I forward that over to the town auditor, waiting for his comments. And likely he'll have some requests for additional information, and we will go from there. We also, the three of us, built out the new format for tracking the 2023 LTIP grants, as well as the 2021, 22, and 23 Moose Plate grants, so that when it comes time to audit, those will be very smooth from that standpoint. We should receive a couple of bills from Talent's Historic Restoration for the Historic Town Hall project windows. There was some clarification the way the bills came in. I followed up with that and gave that information to Caitlin and Michelle. I started doing some research in an application for an Eversource grant for a library generator. I have not heard yet back from Mary Kate on the lights, and I will chase that this week. And the RFP for the library roofing. I didn't send it out because it dawned on me last week after I was talking with Caitlin. Do we have any concerns about re-roofing that in the October, November, December timeframe?
Well, let's bring that up in business.
Okay.
We have it in here.
Okay, we can do that. Perfect. And when Rebecca's in here, I got a question for her regarding something from the planning board, and I'll wait till she's in here for that. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Chuck.
Thanks. First thing I have is to recognize and give condolences to the family members of a couple of town residents that passed away recently, that were instrumental in involved with the town over the years. Lyle Thurston passed away. It's been 2 weeks now, I believe.
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
Condolences to his family. Lyle was involved. I believe he sat on our very first zoning board when we implemented zoning. And recently, Janet passed away.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
correct. Janet Norman Doe. And she was,
That's the house next to Blair.
yes, yep,
The next to Blair.
yep. She was also very involved in the town over the years since they came here, so condolences to both those families. I believe I heard you say the phone is back up and running at the transfer station.
As far as I'm aware, it is.
So, I don't know if you, well, I have concerns with the transfer station being running. If, in the event that happens again, until we come up with some sort of other phone situation.
Well, Art asked about satellite phone.
Yeah, I think that's expensive. I'm not sure. It's not my forte, but, I have concerns about anytime something like that happens, the transfer station being open. If somebody ever got hurt, and there have been instances where people, both staff and customers, residents have been hurt there, so I just, in the future, I think that we should make the hard decision, or consider making the hard decision.
Question. So I had started some research, but I let it go about a month and a half back. When I was researching some information for a direct stream from the library down to the Preservation Society and Historical Society and the fire department and the transfer station. What I found out is we could actually put a unit up in the bell tower that would go directly to the transfer station, would provide cell coverage in good shape. So that could be a secondary backup. It wasn't all that expensive. It was like $1,500 to do the whole thing. You want me to pull something together and.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because we talked about that in the work session, and that would be ideal, is something like that. I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, I'll. pull
because it would also,
that up.
because I think we talked about, there was question whether or not it would help the fire station as well, and I would think it would.
Well, with the one outfit that I actually talked to, they actually said the best way to run it would actually put a repeater in from the tower with a focus unit at the fire station. From the fire station, a focus unit over to the transfer station. Because there's actually an indirect line of sight between the bell tower and the transfer station, where some of the signal will get blocked. But they said without an issue, that could be set up as a three-way.
Yes, Vicky.
I'd like to do some testing with a greater point, see if I can put an antenna up on top of one of the buildings, get a cellular signal there to make internet work through a cellular device. I have one I can test that with. If that's the case, we can put an actual cell booster there, and that would be to the tune of $30 a month. The other thing I'd like to propose is I'd like to see us take Consolidated out of that building and go with just a Spectrum landline. It's currently just a normal Consolidated landline phone. I'd like to switch it over to Spectrum. In my opinion, the far with every storm we've had, Spectrum is repaired in 12 to 24 hours, even on the major storms, and we're waiting days for Consolidated every single time.
Now, when you say that building, chief, you were saying the fire station or the transfer
The
station?
transfer station. All of that was in reference to the transfer station.
Because the phone at the fire station is Spectrum, right?
No, we're on the town hall system, so it runs through the internet.
So when I
Right,
checked with
okay.
Spectrum 4 years ago for the transfer station, the only way I was gonna get it over there was to actually run internet from 153 up to the transfer station. We had to pay for that. To be able to put a line in there.
Well,
So I don't know if that's changed since then, but we can check into that.
So the internet doesn't go up Snow Road at all? Like Spectrum, I mean?
At the time, Chris, this was 4 years ago. I don't know if they've done anything to the houses on the front end of that road, but at the time, there was nothing there. The two houses right on the corner had something. Beyond that, we would have had to pay to run the wire.
Yeah.
All the way up to the transfer station. It was $1,000 at that point.
I can reach out and just find out, and if
Yeah,
it's reasonable, we can revisit.
Yeah, please. Okay, and you're gonna,
and I'll do the research on that.
okay. And from the insurance standpoint, should we check with Primex to see concerning, considering closing the transfer station? let's say if we don't have the phone line. And we keep it open,
Becomes a security standpoint.
yes, just verify that. Thank you, Chris.
Continuing on, Mike finished up the work, the ditching work, so we should be getting the last invoice, this week or next week, and then basically we'll get a copy of that for you. That's a continuation of 23's damage. He did the section, on Townhouse Road between Moody, just south, or excuse me, just east of Moody Road. Came out great, and as it turns out, that night after he got done working, it poured and it worked great. So,
Nice job.
and let's see, Old Pound, that's all done. I also identified a issue where the shoulder was higher than the pavement on Townhouse Road in the area of Wilson Brook. And fellow selectman Leo was nice enough, he was out with his tractor doing some ditching on Libby Road on Saturday morning, so I caught his attention and he went up and took care of it and did a great job. Thank you very much for those efforts. And potentially gonna be doing the same thing, maybe together, and I know that's a quorum and it makes a meeting, so I'm gonna publicly say that Friday morning, you may see Leo and I cleaning the ditch out on Champion Hill Road.
Tell anybody wants to help, please, come on.
It's a public meeting then, right?
Yeah, bring it up. So that's not carved in stone, but given the time constraints and trying to give trying to hold the contractor's feet to the fire to get over there, we're gonna try, but not gonna ask them to do that at such short notice, but we're gonna try. So in the event that we can get it done, we will be getting that done. So after the rainstorm we had, unfortunately, it's the way it goes. It's feast or famine. It's either scorching hot or it's torrential downpour. Saturday was pretty bad. This Saturday, it's my understanding it's gonna be bad again. I have traveled all the roads. I've identified a few washouts. There were some complaints on Simon Hill Road. I don't believe that's been addressed yet. But it is, the contractor is well aware and that's on his to-do list, their to-do list. Everything else is holding up pretty good. We'll see what next week's weather brings and possibly, most likely be doing some grading and some shaping back up again, so. And unless I'm forgetting something, which I usually do, that's all I have for now.
I'll let you jump in later.
Thank you.
Thank you. My case, I fixed the floor in the modular, dropped a new piece of plywood in there, covered a hole. Safety issue. And the PLA, okay, one more here. Oh yeah, we're talking to the guys down at the transfer station. Basically, we're talking about tearing down that little shed. It's pretty bad shape, some rats living in there and stuff. And since we have the container, Bill can put his tools over there, but talking to Chris and stuff like that, really with the new contractor with the steel removal, I mean, it's just up the road and I don't think we really need to take stuff apart. We should be able to just throw the stuff into the container and utilize the workers there to observe the people where to ensure the trash is going to great places and everything else. I agree with that. But I don't know how you guys feel.
Oh, I don't want to touch that building during daytime myself. I've seen the size of the rats coming out of there.
But you also agree from dismantling that.
I mean, it was definitely more cost effective before for us to do that sort of thing, to make the room because we were paying to haul it off.
Right.
So every time we had to haul for container, we were paying $375. We're not paying that anymore.
No, we're not paying that.
So, I mean, once it's full, it's full. We call them and they come get it, drop an empty one and.
It's up in January pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so I'm gonna go forward, have the guys dismantle that. Put hazmat suits on, whatever.
There's no hazardous material. There's no hazardous material in it.
One question, Do we have the RFP for Pine River? done?
It's in the works.
Okay, good. All right, I'm done. Any questions? No? Department reports. We'll start off with the chief out.
July was a busy month, it's probably the friend if anybody didn't get one. We handled 403 calls in the month of July, 3 arrests. 73 motor vehicle stops, 2 motor vehicle accidents, and the K9 was deployed out 3 times. Once for a track, once for a demonstration at the library, and once was called just for our services if needed. We weren't ended up needed. Mutually called to the town of Bartlett, which ended up being nothing. Just a little notes on the bottom. Through this time of last year, we had handled 2,126 calls. Through July of this year, we're at 2,651 calls. So we're up already now 525 calls from last year. And in July of last year, there was only 292 calls for service. So our numbers just continue to stay on an even plane of over 400 just about every month. And we've been consistently over 400 the last 3 months. Last month, we were almost at 500, so it's we're staying busy, I know that for sure.
So the majority of your calls increase has been due to the calls for service?
Yeah, it varies. I'm trying to figure out a better way to break it down without it being 17 pages thick. It's just an interesting way to try to break it down.
Do they, when they dispatch you from the county, do they do a code for the type of call? Or they just coding it?
It's a generic type of thing, so like we'll get, like if it's a welfare check, obviously it'll say welfare check, but it's a very broad type of thing. Yeah, sometimes it's such a unique situation, they just have to give us something that kind of fits it.
So you got
Sometimes they'll call us and be like, what do you want me to put that as? It's like, so it's a unique type of thing. We did partner with state police on a major investigation that details will soon be coming out about. But that was something that did take up a little bit of our time. It was a investigation across into multiple counties within the state. So it was referred out to state police, so that way that it could be one investigation presented throughout the entire state.
Okay.
Do those show up as service call?
Justice other agencies, yeah.
Can you break investigation down into its own category?
It's hard to, yeah. A lot of our investigations come in as a call for service.
Okay.
And then anything that we do with it, usually just log as a follow-up. So that would be. That would basically be the call for service as a follow-up. And you can link to that follow-up to a call for service number. So,
Okay.
anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Chief JT.
All right, so 21st call for the month of July. Oh, I forgot about that. I did present the board with a case study that I received from Deputy Rowe at the Sheriff's Office. It was what he conducted this year for their union negotiations. So they have a updated 2024 pay study for every department and position in Carroll County as far as law enforcement, including dispatch at both Wolfboro and Carroll County. So it's a pretty in-depth pay study and it breaks it down. Deputy Rowe did a fantastic job breaking it down by years of experience, hourly wage, salary, and for every single position at any given department in the county. And it's a very interesting study for sure, as the board has seen.
And we're on track with what community you think would be.
Do I feel that we're on track? No.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. We are. Below,
Both well below, very well below.
I'm trying to pull this out of
Yes.
you.
Yeah, we're very well below. It's based on like the common rates, when I'm thinking we're anywhere from
$4 to $7 below,
So you're about 20% less.
about 20% less than every other department in the county for the positions that we have.
But it doesn't give you the population either.
It doesn't give you the population now. But it basically it breaks it down for the position title, years of experience, and what the wage is, and how long they've been with that said agency. And we're like they said, we're about 20 or more % below everywhere else in the county.
And getting busier, so I just.
And we're
wanted
getting
to
busier, yeah.
point that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just gonna ask one more question, just looking at the report, it doesn't give you the total staff for each town.
Not total, no.
You know, how many patrol, like Conway. Probably doesn't patrol officers.
They have 24 officers on their roster. I think 25 actually.
Total,
Yeah,
that's what those chief and everything.
that's total officers.
Okay. So,
And I actually know, I actually been emailing back and forth with Chief Matty from Conway. Because he's actually conducting one of these for himself going into 25 negotiations through their police commission.
so I could see the difference, you know, from Conway to Effingham, you know, you
Oh,
got
absolutely.
5 people reporting to the chief. Yeah, 2,
Right.
1's really,
No, absolutely.
that's a factor, that's all.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
I have no-
Thank you, chief,
Thank you.
back to JT.
Take 2. 24 calls for July, 2 of which were medicals at the treatment center. Brings us up to 259 for the year. I do want to point out, I've been noticing a trend in the stats, and this is different from the past couple of years, but. Every month I put the number of calls during daytime coverage and the number of calls happening outside of coverage. And so far this year, just about every month, we've been significantly higher outside of our current daytime coverage hours. That'll be a consideration as we look towards next year and how we're gonna staff. Potentially moving some of the hours around and some of the days people are working and things like that to staff the busier hours. Some of that is just the weekends and it being summer and people actually traveling around this summer. So some of those numbers are from the weekend volume increase, but just for reference, just for the month of July, 29% of our calls were during coverage and 71% were outside of our coverage hours. The next 2 pages are just a standard list of all the calls, where exactly they were and whatnot. The call after that is something new I did. It's called by day of the week, so that actually gives you that breakdown showing where the calls are happening. You can see each day of the week and how many calls there were. Down below that is by time of day. Following page is the staff list, who went to how many calls, percentages. And then an apparatus and how many calls each piece of apparatus went to.
Detailed report.
So it's interesting looking at the time of day pieces, basically afternoon, early evening
Yeah, we're not seeing many in the morning.
is the heavier loads.
I'm gonna work with Caitlin to start posting these monthly reports on the town website too, every month, so that they'll be out there for everybody to. Be able to look at these numbers and whatnot, especially now that they're getting more and more detailed every month.
So why is the alarm system always going off?
The alarm system needs to be replaced at our watch. So that'll be a topic for Friday. We do have a town ordinance that allows us to bill for nuisance fire alarm.
And are we doing that?
We have not, it has not ever been utilized in the past, but. We're arriving at that point.
Good.
I have a couple other things. to do.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Permits.
Didn't take a while, or,
Yeah, I got 5 or 6.
okay, then. We'll jump with Rebecca.
Good job.
Go
I
ahead.
don't want you to laugh.
No, you're good.
I want you don't even say.
I know you like to get drop.
Well, you can stay after.
I didn't sleep in the back because I,
Pull a chair, or,
yeah, I'll flop it there. I didn't want to interrupt it. You don't mind my back, do you? Oh, yeah, let me turn this on. All right,
you're on.
I'm on. We've got my report. The only change that I need to make is there was the third property down that had been classified as a junkyard. We did follow through with closing that case. I just forgot to
Take it off.
write case closed and take, well, I would have left it on with the case closed and then take it off this month. So I'll do that just so that the records are clear. But I just in case someone said, wait a minute, I thought we were doing something about that. I would say, yes, we did do it. I just forgot about it. So otherwise, I'll answer any questions.
Oh. I'll ask first. So on your list here, so when it's closed, you take it off your list.
Yeah, so
Like,
each-
let me finish.
okay.
On Morris Avenue, where they're building that house, how come it's not, I have to go back to May report, that's not closed, is it?
It's closed as far as permitting goes. We don't do any certificates of occupancy or inspections or anything
Okay.
like that. So once we issue the permit and they've met all the requirements for the permit, it's,
Closed,
we don't carry it.
okay,
We only carry stuff that's active. And a place that's met the requirements for its permit isn't considered active.
okay, good.
Yes.
Wanna jump in?
There's 2 properties, Morris had.
Yeah, it's the first one, Cambridge.
Which one were you talking about?
Here's one
I was
that's further down.
Further down,
55.
Yeah, they're
It's-
all up to date in their permits. There are 2 of them down there. They're brand, they bought.
so what about 15 more?
I just drove by it today and actually she called me. So the reason there's a third camper is the second camper, which was the storage of her possessions, leaked. And her stuff was getting wet, so she got another camper to use for storage. Getting rid of the other one, she said she'll,
Should she have a permit to live in there permanently without a septic system?
no, she's got a seasonal permit for the camper, and she knows that. And
Okay.
she's got someone on tap for septic design. And they're working on getting the wetlands flagged, and I reminded her again today that, you really should get the wetlands flagged before you hire your septic guy, if your septic guy is not a wetlands engineer, because you don't want to pay out for septic design, the wetlands people are gonna say, well, you can't put it there. So they're aware of all of that, but at this point, they're not breaking any rules other than feels like they're dragging their feet about getting the wetlands flagged, but these are people that,
So they
don't know
have,
how to work the system as well, perhaps, so I'm giving them a little latitude.
so they have a season permit for their camper, so.
Yeah, they
even
got
though-
the 150-day permit for the camper.
So if they do install a septic system, then you can probably hook the camper up to the septic.
They could hook to the camper up to the septic system and they still couldn't use it year round unless because we don't allow it. The only time we allow a camper to be used year round is if there's a fully installed septic system and a building permit that is actively being worked on. In other words, then they can use it as sort of a construction home.
Right,
office.
understand.
Um,
Someone was doing that 56 minutes.
yeah, that's what they're doing down there. They're building their house. They've got an RV there. They started off with
And they
a
had to set this.
150, and they've got the septic system. They
Okay.
started off with a 150-day permit, then they converted it over to a temporary housing permit.
Got it.
And I don't issue the temporary housing permit unless they have the septic system. We issue the 150-day permit on the understanding that they can put a camper on their land and have someone come and pump the tanks, or they can pull them out and take them somewhere else or whatever. I mean, some of our people do have campers on properties that already do a septic system and they're hooked up directly. I just issued a permit today for a guy on Green Mountain Road. And he's got a camper there that's hooked up to the brand new septic system.
But
Just real quick, the wetlands, that was initially identified by DES though, right?
Well, they've come out, but I haven't seen a report from them. It was originally identified by a neighbor. Who alerted me on it when it was under the previous owner. And the neighbor actually reported it to DES, but I did a follow-up to that report. And I told the previous owner that the DES had been notified and that they needed to get the wetlands flagged as well. And then he quickly turned around and just sold the property. So now we're dealing, since April, we've been dealing with a new owner and explaining the whole situation, because the previous owner sold it without giving the buyer any information about what was going on. I mean, it's just, the kind of thing that happens. So we do the best we can to keep the process going, but I haven't heard anything from DES. I was gonna call him, I just haven't had a chance today. The neighbor who reported it said DES was out because they came to his house and knocked on the door, and so they obviously came out, but whether they walked around, I don't know. I mean, these things move kind of slowly, but these folks know that they really can't do anything other than the area where the RVs are parked for the time being. So I'm thinking, as long as they know that, as long as they're trying to get the stuff going, I'll check on it, whatever I'm doing, that's sort of off in that direction, I'll drive by and make sure it looks kind of under control. And it was funny because I got back, how there's no cell service anywhere. I got back and there was a message from the owner saying, call me. And I wondered if she'd seen me, drive in and slow down. But they left a message earlier. He texted me, so wanted to tell me, bring everything up to date. So I think we got a good faith going there.
Something like jump on.
The property that's gated and posted, what's your next step on that one? Administrative warrant?
It depends on how worried about it we are. If you think it's worth spending the time and money on an administrative warrant for a back lot that may have a couple of RVs parked on it that may not even be being used, that's your choice as a governing body. I mean, you do the administrative warrant, I don't. It's a legal action by the Board of Selectmen. I can reach out
Why
to,
wouldn't she do it? It's a simple warrant. Health officer used to do it. Why can't you do it? I'm just curious.
it's not in my job description, not part of what I do.
Okay.
So I can reach out to them again, dig around in my files. I thought I had a phone number for them way back, but I can't find one. But I do have an email address. I certainly have a mailing address. I can just reach out to them again. The conversation I had with them like a year and a half ago was that, yes, I know I have 3 RVs on the property and we're only allowed 2, and I'm not using any of them, and one of them is my brother's and he's going to take it away. So really, it was sort of a pro forma kind of thing. Oh, okay, well, let me go on the property and see if we're down to 2 and they're not being used. And then I saw the gated no trespassing and didn't want to go past the gate. So I just sort of, it seemed, quite honestly, with the things that we worry about, it seemed kind of low on the list based on the conversation I'd had with the guy a couple of years ago. It sounded like, well, probably a pretty good bet if there's 2 RVs in there that aren't being used. It didn't seem like it was worth a lot of time. I don't think it's worth an administrative warrant. I mean, that's.
Maybe for the meantime, you said you had a mailing address?
Oh, yeah, because we have a property card for them, so.
Do you think maybe we worth just drafting a letter and asking for a site visit?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and
Try.
do that. I mean,
Yeah.
Seems like an obvious thing to do. Why haven't I done it yet? Because I haven't had the time.
Maybe fresh set eye,
Other stuff,
maybe.
other stuff up on the, further up on the importance list, but I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay.
You guys agree?
And,
Yeah, it's been on for 4 years now, so we probably should react.
and the other thing below that, Rebecca, with the email, with no response at the end of June, what's next steps on those 2?
Okay, so the Champion Hill Road one, I'm in conversation with. We exchanged a conversation. We actually did telephone tag today. He's in communication with his tenants, but the stuff was cleared up. doesn't seem to be willing to go far enough to give me the phone number of the tenant, so I can set up a site visit, but we'll live it. The other Champion Hill Road one, he's working on it. And the Townhouse Road one, I've gotten no response to a couple of emails. So
And the 44, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but some of the appliances and stuff have been
Diagnosed it.
cleaned out.
Oh, okay, so that was as a result of my call then.
Some of it has,
Probably.
some of it has, there's been,
Okay, well, that seems like then it's a property, we just have to sort of keep the screws to it. Oh, that's improving, oh, it's not improving, and keep driving by as long as it seems to be true, unfortunately, that the absentee owner multifamilies or two families.
So what's the next step on the Townhouse Road one? Letter?
I guess so. I guess so. Or I'll dig out, we should just dig out a phone number. See if we go to town board. Yeah, I'll look around, see if we can't get a phone number and I'll call.
Okay,
Okay. So,
thank you.
Just want to bring up the subject from your laptop.
Yeah.
Was, Bill, last week's manifest, you had a bill for repairing your personal life.
in my opinion.
I'm happy to answer very simply.
Okay.
What it was, is that the server that the town uses for its email, in motion hosting. They upgraded what they were doing without attending to whether everything that was being used here in town could work with their upgrade.
Yeah, but you're not using a town computer. So with town computers, I pay for the upgrade. I don't pay for an upgrade to personal computer. I have never liked that.
Okay, well, then, I just don't do email. Would you?
Can we furnish you?
You won't use one.
Well,
You want to furnish me with if you want to furnish, if you want to buy a Mac,
no, we're not buying that.
okay, well, then let's find a compromise here,
Well, yeah.
why do you say we don't pay for maintenance
Well,
for?
The town doesn't pay to maintain my computer, Rebecca, and I do town business on it all the time.
Yeah, but you're not staff, Chuck, I am staff. I've worked here.
They use a town computer. I've got serious concerns and always have had about security. You're one of the biggest examples of security violation capability that's out there. Relative to town assets.
What has happened?
just asking.
No,
Well, let me ask you, why-
what security
Because-
risk has happened?
Well, there's always a possibility of security. So, but let's get back to your matter. It's not really, how can we, as a town taxpayers, pay for a personal computer that's not owned?
Well, here's a suggestion. I suppose we could find a compromise, which is a good portion of that was time spent trying to get answers from in motion hosting. Whereas if they had responded to my first call and responded to my text first call, there would not have been an hour and a half of labor of trying to get answers from them.
You're not answering my question. So, again, saying, why do you not want town laptop?
Because I don't work on PCs. Simple as that. I tried it. I did it.
You don't work on PC,
I don't work on a PC. I work on a Mac.
so you don't want.
I had a town PC. I did that 10 years ago. And it was so awkward for me that if I had been given the choice between providing my own Mac, which is what I did, and backing it up on a town-owned backup drive, which is available, or working on the PC, I would have left if I had to stay on the PC.
Okay, so going forward, let's have a non-public going forward to discuss the situation.
I mean, I understand your principles, but the money's there.
You agree with going over the non-public, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's,
Absolutely, I mean, I think
Okay.
this should have been, I appreciate you stating you're okay with, making it public, but.
well, I just need to understand.
You know me, I'm all about procedure when it comes to personnel and stuff like that, it's,
Well,
my thing, so.
To a certain extent it is
Yeah.
personnel, but it's to a certain extent it isn't. But I now have a great understanding what it is and what your concerns are, non-public. And we can discuss the situation.
let me note down what the
We'll
other,
let you know.
there was some other one that I was writing when you brought that up, that was what you were, oh, I know what it was, okay, townhouse. Okay, anything further?
That's good. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
JT,
All right. I have one member that's gonna be starting the firefighter training, and I think he actually started last weekend. Being hosted over in Madison. And I myself and Van Felix have a couple of National Fire Protection Fire Code update training coming up. So, couple education things going on this month. Question for the board on the library fire alarm system. Do we know if that's being evaluated by a company every year? Are they doing preventative maintenance on that?
no.
Okay.
Yes, I know, and no, the answer is no.
Okay, so it is required by fire code that they be evaluated by a professional every year. I know I'm on the call list and I get the calls every single day saying that it failed the test. Probably because it's got a cellular communicator in an area with no cell signal, so therefore it can't communicate. So, I don't know who the vendor is, I honestly don't know, I could go look at it and find out, but I'd like to try and get someone in to evaluate that system. Or is
Chuck, can you work with JT?
Yeah, no, the cell system had been working years ago. I mean, it's been working on it. I don't know what's going
it should primarily be going to the phone lines, and then the cell is typically a backup, but
on. It is.
who knows what's going on with it, but
It's the way it's set, that's the way it was set up. The way it's been operated.
so we'll get in touch with them and get them scheduled to go down. The potential addition to the fire station that we've discussed in the past, we did meet with Mike, who is gonna help us out with some of the design plans and things like that. He wants to meet with us August 16th at 10 AM at the fire station,
Mike,
so, cook off seals. So I know the board wanted to attend, so if that's a date that works for you, that was the first date that worked for him, I just didn't want to drag this out too much longer.
What was the date, chief?
August 16th at 10 AM, it's not this coming Friday, it's the next.
and what's this about?
That's for the potential addition to the fire station.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's-
At a time.
Huh? Late fee, building committee, establishing a building committee,
Okay, got it,
it's established,
got it.
first meeting is.
It's too much on the agendas here. Okay, thank you.
FEMA reimbursement, we did receive, I think it actually came in this morning, we received the first payment for the FEMA storm money. Totaling $28,912. That's the first of 3 coming for that storm, we still are owed one for the repair of Molly Philbrook Road. And for a couple culverts in town, so. First payments in, and there's a public hearing on the schedule later on the agenda for that.
No, for next meeting.
Oh.
Yeah, it's.
2 weeks ago.
So we got that in, we also have been awarded the Assistance to Firefighters grant that we applied for last year. That grant total is just under $64,000. And that'll allow us to replace all of our fire hose nozzles and some of the equipment related to that. It'll also cover some of the items that were on the engine 2 refurbishment. We purposely built that in to allow us some flexibility with the refurbishment. The federal funding is $60,751, and then our cost share is $3,037.
So the question is, will we get the check right off the bat before you buy it?
I believe they pay us the full amount and then we spend out of what they gave us. I do believe that is how it works. I think they do a direct deposit type of situation. I do have to go in and approve or deny the grant. We have a public hearing for that as well, so after the public hearing, I can do the approval and then I believe it direct deposits into the town account.
They're all the next meetings. There's 3 of them.
Right, well,
For the grant to,
Michelle. We'll spend that money there,
Oh, for the fire. Fire. one?
yeah, cause that's a grant, right?
What
it's a
what is
grant.
your question?
So we get that money, we have that money secured basically now, we're gonna spend that, some of that money or all of that money in 2024. So. How is that different than like FEMA money, it's unanticipated funds? It doesn't go into the general fund and we can spend it. Even though we didn't budget for it,
Let's get the answer from DRN.
you know what I'm saying? It's the same idea, what I'm thinking about with the FEMA money is. You know, we have unanticipated expenses in the FEMA side of it because of the snowstorm to the $252,000+. Any of this FEMA money we get now. Can we use that money to pay those invoices?
It's a good question, and the federal government considers the FEMA reimbursement a grant. It runs through the grant system, it's classified as a grant. So I don't know.
Cause like the Moose Point grants and all those, we get those and
We can spend them immediately.
generally spend them immediately, right?
once we approve it.
Well,
Right, once we approve it,
Once
but
we
why-
get a letter saying we received money, that's the grant.
2 weeks ago.
Then when we basically get the letter saying the money's deposited, then we accept the money. And we move from there. And we typically have. In the past, up until Michelle has been catching it lately and with Caitlin. The money always got deposited before we did the public hearing. Now the letters are coming in, then we're doing the hearing. If not, that money's in this.
It just, you know, you take like the block grant money, it's the same thing, you know? I've wondered why we can't. Use that, you know, like last year, we got $29,000 the last week of December. And we had an astronomical amount of overages, not over the budget, but we had to. We had to pinch pennies all the second half of last year. Because of those expenses, we're doing the same thing this year, so. I mean, we're in better shape because it wasn't $100,000, it's 52, but. Or plus. But just, yeah. Just curious.
You'll get the answer. Yeah, no.
Total we should see from FEMA is somewhere around 76,000 once everything's approved, so. There'll be more coming from that. The assistant firefighters grant, there were a couple hundred applicants from New Hampshire, and so far we're one of approximately 12 that have been awarded in the state, so that's. We made the cut pretty early, so that's actually surprising for the way the grant cycles have gone. Dan Felix and I wrote the grant together, we based it on the last AFG that we got back in 2019, I believe. A grant writer had written all the narratives the last time, we just took them and modified them to fit this specific grant, so. There's quite a bit of work to get it all put in, but it definitely pays off and it's giving us a whole bunch of needed equipment that doesn't impact the taxpayers. The last thing I have, and I hope I don't step on any toes by saying it, but I have been in contact with Karen Payne about the street fair coming up this weekend. We're gonna make a decision tomorrow as to whether or not we postpone it for a week.
That's fine.
Yeah, tomorrow that we're gonna make a decision and decide whether or not we postpone, but. The weather from the hurricane that's down in Florida right now is headed up this way and it's looking like it's gonna be a nasty weekend, Saturday specifically. So I would say at this point, more than likely it's gonna be postponed. At least as far as I'm concerned, I guess.
I'm on board. I'll vote for it.
I guess you guys make the ultimate decision, but as far as I'm concerned, my vote at this point would be to postpone it, so.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I got.
No. Good, well, there's. You're,
Well, now I'm good, I'm good.
you sure?
Yep, I might have something before we leave, but, because we were texting about something the other day and I
Yeah.
wrote it down. Go ahead, we're good. Okay, but-
So most of my week last week was working on some pretty time consuming property buybacks and getting the totals together. That has officially been sent off. They have 30 days to redeem property. The office assistant was trained on the new website that was done last Thursday. So I'll have an extra set of hands to help. There was no cost with training her, or anything like that, as stated before we signed anything. But now I'll have her as well to help go and post some things, and that'll take a little bit off me as well. Then the last thing is next Thursday, myself and Michelle will be at training for HR at Primex and Guam.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
As pertains to the website. In the past, the old website, you could look at historical minutes.
Mhm.
Is that gonna be allowed back on the new website, you know?
What do you mean by historical?
So you could go back and look at minutes from like 2021, 2019.
They're there. So if you go under your under documents, I know it's a learning curve, it's new, trying to find some things, I'm actually speaking with Rosemary. Where I am hoping to have a meeting with them, with Town Cloud, maybe next week. Trying to find out easier ways to help navigate the website, maybe see if there's something we may not have, put on there, better to make it easier. But minutes right now, especially archived, are under your documents, you find which board you're looking for. It'll bring you as a link, it's gonna bring you directly to the Google Docs folder for each specified board. It will start off with the earliest one, but I'm currently going through them to switch, so it goes to, most current down to like 2012, because most of them have till 2012. But yeah, if you go right into documents, say you're looking for planning board, to the archives, it's gonna bring you to Google Drive, and it's a viewer only, you can't do anything to change the minutes, nothing like that. But you're able to go through and review them.
Can you also check, Caitlin, it does not appear the website design is phone friendly, PC friendly. It's not phone friendly.
So I can check on that, because
When I was designing websites years ago, one of the things you did, depending on how they actually programmed it, there was programming for PC level, tablet level, and phone level.
Mhm.
This one doesn't seem like the
So,
phone level one.
I will check on that, because
Okay.
one of the things is they have shown me that it's supposed to be friendly for, iPhones, tablets, there's supposed to be a mobile. They actually just told me today there is going to be an update coming that will hopefully, make it, it's pretty fast now, but makes it faster. Has some ADA stuff that'll be coming in, that'll help, but I will confirm that when I meet with them too.
Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you. Business, library roofing. I did some research on when those shingles were installed and asked a number of people in town back in the 2010s, whatever, and asked Caitlin to see if we could find any data or information here when that roof was replaced or anything like that. I guess there's no luck. But the only thing we found was, what was this copy?
That's from Christopher P. Williams, architect.
Okay, so for the architect. I guess this was March 10th, 2006. And roofing, I would assume this is before the roof was replaced. My understanding is the roof was replaced in 2010.
If that's written in there, that's the first time I've seen that.
Well, it's not written, but this was,
I
This
just spoke
goes-
to several people in town, it was in the late 90s, but.
No.
no,
Okay,
And it wasn't pot, so
good.
when did the cupola come off and set on the ground?
2003, 4, somewhere in that area. I bet the pictures dated I just don't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, you remember? No. But anyway, part of the specification was 40-year shingles. 5-inch system, 3-inch plywood, place plywood over boards. Part of the specification, pitch chain, 18 inches up the sidewall, for the ice and water. Shingles gonna be a 40-year warranty, roof flashing, membrane roofing, brick edge. So with 40 years,
We have the warranty information,
And, yeah,
because without it, we're dead in the water, they want.
and we talked to. So there's a past board member I talked to as well, and he said it was 2010. And I thought it was when the cupola came off, but. If you have pictures, that's awesome, it's obviously.
Was that, so when, was it done the year the cupola was done?
It was, well, I was told it was 2010, and I said, is that when the cupola was done, and. They didn't say yes or no to that,
but even if it's
and it was 50 years, he was on the board then, and it was 50-year architectural shingles. And I'm like. When we talked about it in a meeting, and I said, well, if they're 24 years old and they're 40-year, or excuse me, 30-year architectural shingles, then.
With that,
2/3, 3/4 of their life are gone, so it would only make sense to replace the whole roof. But if they were done in 2010, somewhere in that time frame, they're only 14 years old, and if they were 50-year-old shingles. Then they're not even a quarter of their life, so roughly. So. I think we need to, before we send the RFP, in my opinion, is we need to find out exactly when it was, see if we can get
I was gonna recommend we
the.
don't do the RFP.
What?
I was gonna recommend we don't do the RFP. It's getting too cold weather.
But I think we should do the repair.
I reached out to the guys that are gonna do the cupola repair with the lift. They're coming in a few weeks. And because they do this type of work at the high level, I asked him, basically, I told him we had 6 square feet, it's not that big, but I said, give me a range of prices, 6 square feet of shingle, and we've got the shingles. What would it take while you're here with that lift to do that?
When you say we had the shingles,
There's actually a bundle of.
left over?
No,
Oh,
we don't have any shingles that are the same.
because I was gonna say, we
No.
get our information right off
No,
this.
it's
Right
not.
off the
There's
shingles.
no, they were the shingles that were for the little shed. We had an extra bundle of them. So they're not the same green color.
So you're not replacing all the shingles, you're just gonna replace what's this.
Yeah, and trying, because what we do know from the ones that are blowing off the roof. They did not nail them correctly. They nailed them about 2.5 inches high, pretty much across the entire shingle of the roofing. The line they're supposed to nail them on, that's where they're coming out. But I figured if we can get him with the lift and get him up there. Particularly in the one area where we know they're gone, we just basically, if we tar paper and replace them. And then the ones that are basically sliding down the roof. See if we can get him to get them back up into the area where they were and potentially re-nail them. And that basically does us the repair.
So let me ask you a question, how do you know that they were nailed improperly?
Because you can actually see the nail holes. This far above where they're supposed to be nailed, right on the shingles, the ones that blew off on the ground.
Because when Jim the painter and I 2 years ago. Replaced those shingles up there, I didn't notice it, but there was only.
It was only, well, and I only got it from the 2 that I picked them up, they were full sheet shingles, and you can see the nail holes right out. Where they were nailed on. So.
Oh, yeah, so you see it right.
Yeah, and there's like 4 or 5 of them down near the edge of the roof that are completely loose, that need to be re-nailed.
Okay.
And then you got the one up over the temple, there's 2 or 3 of them that are loose right in the middle of that roof. We had done a repair on that 3 or 4 years ago after one of the windstorms. And looking at it again this last weekend, somebody's replaced a good chunk of the shingles on the ridge behind the tower that goes over to the main ridge of the building. There's like a 6 by 7 foot section, it's just pure gray shingles where somebody's done a repair already on that area. But I figured we could just do the repair.
Well, we know You don't see the shingles bubbling up, I mean, they're not.
They were with some of the pictures I got earlier, but they laid back down. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
No, I took pictures of it. From Mike, when Mike and I were talking, when he was doing his roof in June. When I looked over there, you could actually see where they were curled up. Some of them, it looked like the ones that were on Lord's Hill. They were that bubbled up. But I noticed when I took pictures last weekend, most of them were laid back down again, so I don't understand. I mean,
It was gonna say that 20 some odd years is 90.
Yeah, that's probably what did it, because they weren't up anymore.
So either way we look at it, I'm not sure if we can find the data. We have nothing, I mean, basically we reached out into the. Previous administrator. And it said it was in a big box.
That's what I was gonna state, it's,
Go ahead.
these documents are, I found a few documents in file cabinet. Back there. Doesn't have a lot, it has very limited information. From previous administration, going back past. 10 years ago. There was a box for each building and the records that, were. pertaining
Minutes,
to it.
records and.
Yes.
everything.
I don't have anything for the library. Or.
So you have this building,
I have this building, which also includes the modular,
okay,
and
and
I,
we could find it,
in the file room, that we have.
do we have anything in the market?
I have not looked in the modular. But I have stuff regarding the fire department, and then this building in the modular. Back there. But I don't have anything for historic town hall library. Besides the very limited stuff that's out there.
You didn't.
No, with all the research I've done, I could never find it on the shingles.
But you're not on boxes or.
Nope.
Yeah,
No,
so-
but the one thing I did see is back in 2019, there was like a folder. Brown folder, when yay big, it was just crammed with paper. And it had all kinds of records in it, but it was out there at the time in the Selectmen's office. I have no clue where, maybe now.
I can do a little bit of peeking around, I can check back there too.
Thanks.
If you could. oops,
You all done?
Can you scan that and send it to me and I'll add that to the digital records? Oh, thank you.
I happen to be working at the Historical Society today, and we've been putting all the documents.
Oh, you found a box there?
I found a whole folder of the historic town hall records, and there was architectural, there was lawyer there. I mean, I don't know exactly what all of those papers are, but I was like, check this out.
Could you find that again?
I'm sure I could. I had to get a hold of Billy because we did put it all in pockets, to preserve them in folders. But I kept, they were all together in the white folder. I just put them in a white binder.
No, I'm happy. Those are the kind of things I've been
I don't know
thinking
what
with.
they helpful or not, if they would just maybe from.
You know what the date,
if they could,
was there a date on it?
just saw a whole bunch of.
She just said it was in the folder and checked this identified. It was in the folder.
Yeah, the folder I have is about 8 years. Did you read every page?
I did.
I'm more than happy to travel down there if you get permission for me to get down and read those, I will do that.
I thought it was funny too, that we're discussing this and I have.
I appreciate you bringing the information up.
Thank you.
Yeah. just
I'll
go-
call-
I mean, I hope it's helpful.
just so-
So moving forward, we gotta continue to, because obviously for warranty, because if they are 40-year, 50-year, 30-year. Either way, the anniversary isn't up, so we need to find that. For warranty purposes, find out who did the work, what kind of shingles they are, and in the meantime. I think we're all on the same page. So,
The other thing we'll do too,
Well,
based on the description of
The
this.
shingle that fell, I mean, can you tell? on the shingle?
No, it wasn't anything back. But with the ones that are missed. Down to whatever is the underlayment. Now's the time to make a record and picture of what's there, so if there's already plywood or the extra something there. Take a picture of it, if there's already been a thing, flashing and whatever, take a picture of it.
You writing that down?
I know, I've already got it, when I made the request, I figured if I get the guy with the lift. What are they going up?
Okay, good.
Um,
Okay, so basically going forward, we're not gonna do the RFP for replacing the whole roof.
Nope.
You're
Just
gonna
fix it.
We'll fix the front forward. And you'll contact one of those contractors.
I actually wrote him today and I just didn't hear back from him before the meeting tonight.
Okay, and that's.
I know he'll do it, I wanted to try and get a price range tonight to bring here, but I didn't.
Yeah, it's probably 3 hours. Yeah, worst case.
If it's an hour.
Okay. Good. Assessing clerk position. We have a need to hire temporary, part-time, part-time assessing clerk, just doing input the information to the system for all the
Non-temporary, if they part-time person, right?
part-time person. So we have a person, well, I'm not gonna go into the details of that, but you guys agree that we go forward and looking.
Well, I had actually had a discussion a few months ago with another selection that have a small town like ours here in the county. And they're having the same problem we are, and they were actually discussing the fact that at some point they wanted to take a look at doing this very kind of thing. Where 1, 2, or 3 towns get together and basically split a person.
Well,
Nobody's got a full-time position capability,
right, but this person, I mean, we're looking.
but they're already employed.
Yes, she's ordered,
Doing-
case.
Yeah.
So going forward, you have no problem,
I think we should interview her, yeah, we did,
you guys wanna be involved with the interview?
Yeah. please.
Okay. Set it up. You still thinking with your questions working before?
No.
Announcements, the Board of Selectmen office will be closed August 15th, 2024 due to training. We're holding 3 public hearings, August 20th for unanticipated funds. State of New Hampshire Assistant Firefighters Grant. And,
FEMA's included with the saving.
okay. All right, and
Can I have one more point?
yes, please.
I forgot to ask about that when he was in here. So, as the planning board rep, and the other night in the meeting, Mark Galloway came in, regarding his boat storage area up on 153 there on the top of the hill. And he's looking for, they've given him a conditional approval if he meets certain criteria. He was asking clarification, getting some discussion on that about what he needed to do. But one of the things the chair, George Bull, asked me to bring to us to give to Rebecca is he's been conditionally approved for a winter storage of boats, which is a seasonal storage. He's actually started to store stuff up there right now, which is in violation of the approval. And he wanted to have the CEO send a letter from an enforcement standpoint, but he cannot be storing anything there because it's not good. And George gave me the copy of the meeting minutes of the decision to give to Rebecca that she can use as a reference point.
So the winter storage, you said?
Yeah, it was approved,
So-
the winter storage boats, but she's going to,
So winter starts, when is it, was it December?
it's not due in July.
No, I understand.
No, I understand. It's.
Was it a fall? or what?
I would assume it'd be kind of like the date that we used to do the winter road contract, which was like November 1st to April, whatever.
Yep.
I mean, there aren't a whole lot of people on boats.
Oh, I agree.
Thanksgiving.
The boats are usually out by first part of that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
October, November is when they'll come out of the water,
You're right, so
and that would
he's
be.
gonna be storing boats.
Yeah.
October, November,
Right.
that's where I'm getting at,
Through April, May. And then they're back in the water,
but it says winter.
but it's winter storage, but it's not summer.
Then,
It was specifically approved that way. So
do you wanna go back to, this is the planning board thing?
this is the planning board decision.
Should you go back and probably clarify the winter to give it a certain date?
Nope, there aren't. The way it was approved is this. You're right. It's none of our zoning isn't approved. And I asked a question actually. Is there a specific date that defines winter and it is not?
The dry dock, we'll have winter storage or summer storage.
I know, it's already approved. So what do you want from us?
I just wanna let you know that I'm gonna take it out. and Give it to my foot and ask you, but.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have any more? Think of any? No. Public comment? Steve?
Just, did you just brought it up, Leo, in regards to this boat storage period? Is that gonna be treated as a business? And how will it be taxed?
It's commercial property.
That's commercial property. How will it be taxed, just per square foot?
With the way they tax commercial. However, they do the methodology for commercial property for boat storage.
Okay.
I don't know the specifics of the calculation,
Yeah,
but I know it's commercial,
versus gas station versus.
right, it's taxed as a business.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure, yeah. Okay, thank you.
And steam contractor storage is what it was approved as. So that's, to their point, it's not residential, but it's not a service station or something like that, so, but
Okay.
it is a business.
And did I say, I saw yours first.
Hi, question with the transfer station, with the communications. Can we get a Motorola, skip channel radios and we get like a bunch of them and like say. Every weekend or whatever, one of you guys take one, fire chief, police, and we have one. In case something happens anywhere in the community.
Except we don't have good radio coverage in that entire part of town, so.
Well, with the repeater?
Well, I'm just saying with those repeaters going up, you'd be better than phone service, because once power.
Later we do that, that would help.
What's that gonna be?
I'm just saying, because we used to go to toy runs. We don't have all the Motorola. You know, we would.
I'm looking at that, I mean, basically, so when's the time period it's gonna be active?
I don't have an estimate at this point. We're close, but we're not quite there yet.
Well, it's gonna be this year.
Oh, yeah, yeah. this-
Alright, so give me a date, I won't hold you to it. Hey,
Month or two.
Okay.
I hope to do better than that, but.
The radios will be.
well, I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
they're inexpensive, each every has a charger and.
but that's what we're doing that right now with the radios and stuff, so we can leave one radio at
At the
the.
transfer station, and somebody's got a radio on. Police, fire department,
They'll have-
one of you guys can have one.
They all
each
have,
weekend.
they're all gonna have.
Good idea, thank you
Yeah, that's
very
good.
much.
Yeah,
That's a perfect.
Take it outside the box, yeah.
yeah, thank you for the suggestion.
Cool.
Transfer,
I don't think it's the primary, but it's definitely a backup.
that's okay.
They should still have a phone for primary, but especially, Saturday.
Yeah.
Knows if one of us is ridiculous.
We have a second. Perfect.
Yeah, I guess.
Or we got it.
Right.
Yeah, probably you can get me one, that way.
You just won't listen to us.
Highly,
It's not that.
Trust me, I got better than you do.
Thank you.
Dave?
I just wanted to give Chris some information, I know he's gonna be checking it, but. Back in the days when I first started doing budget, Claudia schooled me that FEMA unanticipated funds going to the general fund. We've always done that. I can't say it's right, Chris, or wrong, but that's what we've always done. And it had to do with far as you were budgeted in the town meeting for a certain amount for your budget, they can't go over that amount. And any funds we expend, that's what she had explained to me in my years. Any funds you expend. Up our roads, like what we did with that washout, we put it 6,000, that comes out of your general fund, and that's where this would be ended up going back in. To pay that, so then you can just take that as a tidbit, and the other one you talked about highway and state funds. Your 434, you end up budgeting that amount you expect to get in to set your tax rate. So those amounts have already set in your revenues. And Claudia always assured me that that is already built in for your tax rate with those amounts expected by the 434. So maybe you can find something different on it, but that's a flaw that excludes me on. And the one other thing I have is anything on opening the assessment base?
Not yet, we should have an answer. By Monday,
On
opening the bids.
Oh. That'll be advertised.
Yes.
And as far as we're gonna be talking, should be talking to Michelle as far as these funds. Unanticipated funds. With FEMA,
DRA.
the area. To clarify, like you said, Claudia, I mean, that's the way it was. We just want to verify with the state.
Oh, yeah, it was great. We can do what Chris talking about, someone we can do that without affecting the budget, they give us more money and handle some of these crazy things we've got. Maybe we go the road that. You know, we didn't plan on because of it.
Okay. You all set?
It's-
Any additional questions?
We have one on Zoom. Bear with me while I try to remember the speaker, so. All right, Melissa, try it.
Okay, how's that?
Can everyone hear her?
I'm listening.
Everyone?
I have a little mouse voice, so I'll try to speak up. So I just had a couple of public comments. Thank you. I went to the Google Docs on the website while you were talking about it, and I wasn't able to find the archives of the past selectmen's meeting minutes. So I think you said that Caitlin said that she was going to be trying to make it a little easier for people to navigate to it. Did I hear that right? Or
Yes.
okay, thank you. It is valuable to have those on there for people that want to research things. I also wanted to say congratulations to whoever wrote the assistance to firefighters grant. Was that the chief?
Yes.
Myself and Jan Felix, yes.
All right, well, congratulations on that. Those are competitive and they're not always easy to get. So thank you for doing that for the town. I did hear that Dave Strauss was just commenting about the unanticipated funds and the grant funds, but I couldn't really understand what he was saying. So I'm sorry if I repeat what he said or something different. But as long as the town has adopted a warrant article that allows you to accept unanticipated funds after a public hearing, then you should be able to spend any grant funds that were unexpected during the year. So the assistance to firefighters grant or the FEMA money, money that you expected, like the highway block grant, you're not allowed to spend that on something else. That just goes into the general fund unless it's otherwise appropriated at town meeting. So if you had to use your roads money to do FEMA repairs and then FEMA pays you back, you can now do your road repairs with it. So that's my understanding of it. I'm sure you're going to get an opinion from DRA, but I also sent a link in the Zoom chat to an article from NHMA about accepting gifts and grants and whether or not you can spend them. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Did you get that, Dave?
Not good, I didn't hear.
She kind of agreed that she's saying that like the FEMA funds, we can use it for roads.
Oh, it'd be great, again, yeah.
Yeah, but
Check.
Block grant, you can't.
the block grants we can, because that's anticipated for the 1st of March. But we'll still get DRA to.
Yeah, if we do, if that does come through, we just have to have a way of, keeping track of those funds separately.
So, yeah, so what we talked about, if that's the case, is underneath the 5,000. Underneath like budget, we put that money in underneath the budget column. Because any of that storm damage is getting posted to 5,000, so then we would have a true tracking of how much money we took in. And
Yeah, just the only thing she had, the problem with QuickBooks is, and I've gone over this with Chuck on the grants, is you can only do the budgeted line item with that system for 1 year. So she has to end up putting it in the expended line item if it goes more than 1 year, so it's the same problem we're having with grants, just because we're limited by the software. So if we're gonna expend it a year, like what we did with fire is the 16,000 payment, we know we expended that, so we can put it in the budget line. But if it's going over more than a year, it's gonna end up looking like a minus and a plus, like you see in the 7,000.
So in this case with the FEMA, it will still go over the budget.
No, but if we don't expend it,
Well, we will, because they're
Yeah. I mean,
about the 50-something thousand dollar bill.
Yeah, but I mean, the point, the only point is that, yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with you, Chris, you wanna set it, we can do that,
So we-
set up a line item. That you can actually use that money for, that would help fire some of the roads.
Yeah, agree. Good. Another question on the internet
I'm making sure.
and. Keeping you awake, Paul?
That's been a lot on the audience.
Any additional questions from the public?
I have one additional comment. I think Paul's here. And he's gonna be part of this comment. So I attended the Blueberry Festival on Saturday. It was well attended. The band was great. Unfortunately, we left before that, but the word on the street is the band was awesome again this year. And everybody enjoyed that. And Paul was there with a nice booth. And he does some really great work. This is a little commercial for Paul right now. Does some really great work. So check out his stuff and Melissa got a nice little cheat thing for us to put on the refrigerator for cooking, and it gives temperatures of meat that it's supposed to be, so you don't get salmonella, so.
Yeah, I did donate a lot of blueberries to the. For my blueberries.
Yeah, I think I'm blueberried out now, but
How can you be blueberry now? There's no such thing.
what's never really one of my favorites.
Don't even mention.
Down in Boston that day. So we good? Okay, gonna go into non-public, RSA 91-8:3. Number 2, we'll see reputation.
Second,
All right.
Simmons, aye. Thank you, everybody.